And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Korean StarCraft League, the KSL week number 68. A bit of a special edition here, as this is going to be a replay cast of an event that occurred a couple of days ago. Of course, I'm your host, VIP, with you and joined by these amazing players by the people in chat, by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all. Initially, this was going to be an Elima League broadcast. We're going to be jumping into the Elima League, as the Elima League did take place a couple of hours ago, but unfortunately we don't yet have the replays for that event. I don't blame CranKy whatsoever. I know it gets quite late in South Korea, and most likely I just went to bed. So it's getting some rest, and hopefully we're able to get those replays for tomorrow's broadcast instead. So that is going to be the plan. As a result, we have kind of adjusted our schedule. Initially, it was going to be Elima League today, KSL tomorrow. We have since reversed it. KSL today, Elima League tomorrow instead. So that is the plan. That is the way of things here. And we have our initial broadcast. We have our event. Here we go. We have our bracket being set up as well here, as we are jumping into the quarterfinals. Again, this week, the KSL bracket was a little bit smaller. Was a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, but the quality is still there. Always, Fabi, always. Here we go. Also, exclamation mark for none of the admins of KSL, because, mate, every time they make the Terrans play against each other, like we don't get many Terrans in KSL, and we just make them face off time and time again. Fabi, what's going on? God damn. So we have our initial round of 8s. We have herO versus Trigger in the first round in a PvP. We have following, of course, that's Kira versus Gumiho in a TVT, Dark versus Creator in a ZVP, and Shin versus Classic in a ZVP as well. Here we go. We have 2 Zergs, 2 Terrans, and 4 Protoss. We have some mirror matchups, of course, coming up ahead of us. We're going to be entering the quarterfinals. After that, a break, and then we'll be jumping into the semis and grand finals thereafter. Here we go. We're going to be covering everything as well, so it's going to be 7 matches here for the broadcast. And let's jump in. Let's jump in here and now. We have our first PvP of the night. Going to be a bit of a rematch here, as we have a bit of a rivalry forming between these two players. We're going to be jumping into herO versus Trigger. Let's go. Let us go. As again, these two have been facing off many times over the past month, over the past 2 months even. They've been regulars when it comes to facing off in these online cups, in these online tournaments, whether it's the KSL, the Wardy TV Monday, or other online cups as well. And here we go, we're jumping into our first series of the night. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss for Weibo Gaming. It is herO. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. Here we go. And again, if you've been following Trigger over the past 2 months, you would know that he has been streaming a lot, competing a lot, and getting a lot of big wins here in the PvP matchup. I want to say it was in the December edition of the Wardy Christmas Cup, or one of the Wardy events and invitationals in December, where we saw Trigger actually defeat herO. Did bring him down in a best of 3 in the group stage. It was very impressive there by Trigger. He's also beating players like Classic, players like Trap as well. Trigger has been hyper aggressive in the PvP matchup and has been finding a lot of success. At the same time, of course, herO, now 2 weeks ago, did defeat MaxPax in a best of 7. herO looking very impressive against MaxPax. It was a very dominant showing in that best of 7, so both players are very much so in form, and we'll see how they compare. We shall see. herO, arguably the best Protoss player in the world. Meanwhile, Trigger has been spiking up specifically in this matchup, becoming almost a PvP sniper. So I want to believe this can go either way. For now, we're going to be scouting. Welcome one and all to Whispers of Gold. Going to be a smaller, more aggressive map. 2 gate opener out of Trigger, 2 gate opener out of herO. Trigger sets up a proxy pylon, but it is going to be a fake proxy pylon. Pylon has in place is going to be fake. Meanwhile, Trigger coming in for his own probe scouts to get a read on what is going on, and should confirm that the pylon is nowhere to be found, is not in the main. Now, as the pylon is missing, could be very real or very fake pylon, fake proxy, I mean. And it's going to be on Trigger to try to recognize what's going on. How does he react to this? Does he fall for the bait? Does he call it and try to play a game of chicken here and play standard instead and hope that there is no proxy? We'll see. For now, 2-gate opener into double stalker. Double stalker out of trigger. Meanwhile, stalker sentry out of herO. Standard opener out of herO, most likely getting into tech, into an expansion thereafter. Trigger, he's going to be the aggressor early on, as the first 2 stalkers have arrived, and he does get a 3rd and 4th stalker thereafter, so very aggressive here by Trigger. He's going to commit. Is going to move out. herO, meanwhile, does zone the probe away. Does force Trigger back. And herO just expands. He's going for the Stalker into Sentry into Nexus. This is all before any kind of tech, so a very economic build here out of herO. Meanwhile, Trigger, he is making more Stalkers. He is going to be producing more and more Stalkers. herO throws down another pylon out on the map. Probe Scout confirms the base, and Trigger, he will go for a much later expansion. Okay. We are setting up. Again, it's going to be a much later Nexus here out of Trigger. Slightly delayed, so slightly worse economy, but he is going to be up in the army supply here. He has more Stalkers. herO instead has more Sentries. Oh, Stalkers to be face off. And do we get a force field? We do zone away. 1 Stalker goes down. Nice pick off. 1 Stalker does fall. So stepping forward, force fields, they try to lock down Trigger, but last Sentry's going to fall as well. I would say a better trade here for the Red Protoss. Trading 1-for-1 with the Stalker, gets the Nexus Sentry, but he has to back off. He has to make sure he doesn't overextend, and he will retreat. Will back off. From here, again, we're expanding. We're not all in. Taking up. Twilight Council here out of Trigger, working towards Blink. herO, he is known for going into robo-based play. He's very fond of robo-based play in this matchup. We'll see if that trend continues here, or if herO does also go for his own Blink Stalkers. But now just saturating. Saturating that natural. There are pylons everywhere. Jesus. Attempts to reinforce, but last Trigger, he finds the pylon. And can he deny the warp in? Ooh, he will not be able to. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh my god. Oh, barely not. Whew. Pylon goes down. Barely does not deny the warp in. herO does finish up. Armor supplies are comparable. Here, rotating around. He's going to be able to meet up. Again, Blink is on the way. And as we mentioned before, herO is fond of robo-based openers, and there it is. A robo here from herO, very fond of it. Now, this robo does give herO a lot of options. This can lead into just immortal production, just to get into 1, 2, 3 immortals, take a 3rd base, and slowly macro out of this into the mid-game. Or we could go for a 2-base all-in. This could turn into immortal production, into a Twilight Council, into Glaives, into just a pure 2-base all-in from there. So herO, he does have options with how he does want to approach this. But for now, he's going to be stuck at home, and Trigger should gain map control. Oh. As he slips in, gets 1 probe. 1 worker goes down. It's an okay trade. More importantly, herO, he scouted them. Checking his vision, he got into the main, he saw the Twilight Council. He knows that Blink is going to be much faster here for Trigger. herO goes for his own Twilight Council, and as we mentioned before, we'll see if he does invest into Glaive Adepts. Another option could be Charge or even Blink as well to try to catch up with his own Blink timing. But my eyes are going to be on herO here for that upgrade to see how committed he is. Meanwhile, Trigger just takes the 3rd. He takes the 3rd base. I mean, again, he has map control. He feels safe to do so. Moving out towards that natural. The immortal count is building up. Trigger has more Stalkers, but I mean, herO makes up for that with those immortals. And we have the answer for the upgrade. It is in fact going to be a Blink for herO. Okay, so we're not going for the all-in, is going for Blink instead, which means herO, he should be looking to break out. A nice force field, so gets a sentry, gets 2. 2 sentries go down, very nice pickups. At the same time, it Adepts shade into the main base once again. Ooh, getting 3 probes. And 3 workers to Adepts. It's an okay trade for Trigger. He's maintaining himself, but he does take a worker deficit. Does take a deficit. Well, the move command. Right for move command, 2 Stalkers going down. Sentries as well. Nice pickups here by herO. And God does catch Trigger off guard. Meanwhile, I mentioned earlier that I didn't think it was going to be a 2-base all-in, but that is a massive gateway explosion. We have 2 gates in the main. We have 2 more gates here at the natural. We have a 6-gate setup on 2 bases. And again, herO, he chose to throw in an extra gate. He's not stopping. Oh my, Jesus. He's not slowing down. He just keeps throwing down the gates. And he makes this decision instead of expanding. Instead of a 3rd base, we have extra gateways here for herO, so it is going to be a 2-base all-in. Getting up to 7 gates. Ay, ay, ay. Trigger, he hasn't seen the gateway count, but what he does see is the lack of third base. So he is somewhat aware that something is wrong. Something is amiss. Stalker goes down. Bit of miscontrol there from Trigger. Behind this, yep, shield batteries. We need shield batteries. We need as many warpins as possible. Trigger needs his own defensive immortals. Charge on the way. Here comes the move out. As herO moves out, Trigger moves in. And can he force the recall? Can he force herO back home? herO, he commits. And we're going for the base trade. Let's go. We're going for the base trade. Boys are being pulled. Gateways are being depowered. At least one of them so far. At the same time, back at home. Again, does Trigger decide to recall? Does he commit? Force fields, they will slow down the army. They buy some time. herO, he blinks over. Boys are being pulled. Immortals have arrived. And here he has his own force fields. Oh. Dives on the immortal. Does dive in. Does focus it down. And here he should be able to break through this. Meanwhile, we did have a recall. And Trigger, he races back home, takes out the Prism. Prism goes down. But that's still 3 immortals. That's 3 immortals, and the immortals, they overwhelm. herO, he takes the fight. He shuts down the army. Back at home, he defended, he held. And herO, he's done it. He breaks through. Breaks through the defensive line. No more shield batteries. We have a couple of zealots here to defend. We have 1 immortal in the main. Oh. Once again, herO pulls away. We'll take the main base. Nice force field. And he just rotates over towards the third. He killed everything in the natural. Now going for the third base as well. Getting secure damage. Chasing down the probes. Now, this is giving Trigger the opportunity to build up in the main base, and the worker counts are very similar. I mean, still slightly in favor of Trigger, but I mean, he's losing more probes. The economies are comparable, but the army size here is still in favor of herO. He still has a massive army. Likewise, transferring over. Saturating his natural once again. There is no defensive shield battery. Nice force fields. That will buy some time. Does keep herO at bay. And there's soon to be a second immortal. Second immortal has arrived. There's the blink, there's the dive. And yeah, the immortal's exposed. There's just not enough here to support. GG gets called, and herO will take game number 1. Whew. GG. herO, he will take a lead in this series. And honestly, it was a pretty tense game as well. I mean, Trigger, he was doing well for himself. He had a better economy. He had a third base. If you remember, he initiated the base trade. He was the first to hit and strike that natural. You could argue that maybe he should have committed. Maybe that would have been the better option. Or at least waited a little bit longer to recall and maybe try to go into the main and depower the production in the main base as well. It's a hard thing to call, though. It's very hard to call, like, when to and when not to recall and where to recall as well. I'm not too fond of the idea of Trigger recalling to his third. If you remember, he recalled to his third base and his army was split. He had Stalkers on the right, he had his immortals towards the left, and he tried to surround, but he just didn't have really the numbers. So yeah, just a really awkward defense there for Trigger, and in the end, herO did overwhelm. GG. GG, well played. Whew. And that does take us into game number 2. herO takes a lead. We'll see if he can extend that lead and claim the series, or if Trigger can force the ace match. Let's go. Let us go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of El Dorado, we have the blue Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss from South Korea leading the series 1-0 for Weibo Gaming. WPG, it is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. Here we go. So players are settling in, and welcome one and all to El Dorado. The biggest feature for El Dorado in this PvP matchup is the ramp. There's a ramp coming into the natural base. What does this mean? This means that we will be setting up on the high ground, setting up a gate into Cybercore, into Nexus, if at all possible. Players may try to cut corners, open up with a single gas geyser, and claim a faster Nexus. herO going Nexus first. He's crazy. Oh my god. herO, calm down. Nexus first. Before anything, no gas, no gateway, no cybercore, straight up Nexus first here out of herO. This is the greediest build you can go for in PvP. Trigger, he confirms, and Trigger, he has to respond to this. Like herO, he's asking to be all in. He's like, mate, what are you gonna do about it? that's what hero's saying to Trigger. And Trigger, I mean, he has to respond. We can see here he's scouting. Here he knows. He's like, mate, you have to all in me, right? What are you gonna do? Just let me expand? You gotta all in. So he's checking. He's looking for a proxy. Trigger, he mines through the center mineral patch, so he will be able to proxy potentially here on the other side of the wall. Yep, there we go. The pylon here on the other side, which means hero may never check this location, and this should be a one base all in. Trigger, he should just be going all in at this point. Otherwise, he's just going to be falling too far behind. Even Maxpax doesn't go Nexus first. Like, Maxpax isn't this crazy to be this greedy. And here, he should be opening up Stargate into Void Ray, actually opening up 2 gate instead. Interesting. So Nexus into 2 gates into the Cybercore. Here you can see he's still looking for the proxy. He realizes that it should be coming. And here comes the Robo. The pylon was hidden, the Robo's on the way. And here he will eventually confirm once he sees the setup here at the natural that alas, the pylon is missing and that there is no expand. So here he's piecing it all together. Robo's on the way. Gets into the main, confirms only 2 pylons. The 3rd pylon is missing. Something is wrong, something is amiss. Here is setting up. Likewise, Trigger being active. Making sure he hunts down that probe. Immortals on the way. And we'll see if Hero can pull off a crazy defense. Now, again, he is delaying his tech. He is delaying the Stargate. Now, there we go. There's going to be a Robo follow-up out of Hero. Now, Hero, he needs to buy time. He needs to buy time for what? For Immortals. If he can get 1, 2 Immortals up and running, he can hold, he can defend, but it's easier said than done because Trigger, he's going to strike first. He's going to hit hard. And can Hero buy enough time? He does have some force. Oh, no! He does hallucinate, which means no force field. Should have an energy overcharge momentarily. He moves out his scouts. Now he knows what's going on. He confirms. Was that 2 sentries? Oh, that was. Yeah, that was 2 sentries. Oh, sorry, 2 hallucinations, what I meant to say. Does find it. Cybercore under fire. We have a lot of shield batteries on the way. That's 3, soon to be 4 shield batteries. That's Trigger forcing his way in, going for the Cybercore. Oh, a dead goes down. Trigger down to 4 units. So far, good juggling. Saves what he can. But again, here he's buying so much time. The power of 4 shield batteries is keeping everything alive. Immortal taking a lot of hull damage. One Stalker goes down. Hero heals out of range. He was out of range. Cybercore once again under fire. Nice force fields. Yeah, he zones away the army. Trigger, he's just not finding the damage he's really hoping for. Does have the 2nd Immortal. First one has right for Hero. Does have his first Immortal. Oh my god, almost does get the Immortal. So close, deep in the red. Takes down a Stalker. Takes down a Stalker, denies the warp in. And if we just keep throwing down shield batteries, they just don't stop. Some of these I feel like are a little bit further out of range, but I mean, they're still on the way. Cybercore does go down. But here he has a backup Cybercore. He already has another one in the main. He was ready for this. Cybercore didn't matter. Nice control here. Here he saves the Immortal. Remember here, he only made 1 Immortal. 1 Immortal into the Warp Prism. Didn't make a second. Gateway's gonna go down. But again, the army here for Hero refuses to die. The shield batteries, they keep almost everything alive. Yeah, and he takes down the Sentry. Gateway falls. Trigger up to 3 Immortals. That's a lot of Immortals. Jeez, how many shield batteries did we get? 7 shield batteries. Oh my god. And Epsay Shade past the army. Hero he will chase. Last bleeding out his Adepts. Does bleed out. Trigger, he tries to rotate. Does attempt to, is going to be zoned away. He's zoned back. Again, I feel like some of these shield batters are a little bit too far back, and they're not really adding too much here, but potentially, depending on where herO fights. Warpin's going to be continuing. Remember, herO, he has a better economy. The longer this goes on, the better it is for herO. We'll lose a gateway. herO still just forces Trigger back. Trigger's up to 4 immortals. That's an insane immortal count. But herO, he's only down 1. Once again engages. Oof. Kites back well. 5th immortal has arrived. Getting up to 5. Again, trying to break through. herO getting a little bit bold. Losing a Stalker in the process. Tells lose a Stalker. Again, from here we have to reinforce with Adepts. The reason for this, Adepts, they take more hits from Immortals than Stalkers do. As Stalkers, they take bonus damage. Oh. Sentry goes down. Yeah, he does take the straight on fight. Oh, the Immortal gets started. Where's the Warp Prism? Prism a little bit too far behind. herO, he gets punished. Does come in for a flank. Oh, gets 1. Gets 1 Immortal. Loses 1 himself. Kills 2. I believe, yeah, 2 for 2 actually. 2 for 2 trade. Trading out those Immortals. Nice force fields. Once again, good juggling here by Trigger. Saves what he can. Here he goes to the dive. No anti-air for Trigger. Here once again he's going for that robo. Does double back. He thinks about it. He's going for the production. At the same time, two Adepts, they shade into the mineral line. They try to do what they can. Prism gets deflected. Pylon goes down. Depowers the robo. And here he's bleeding out a couple of probes that he can afford to lose them. He can afford to lose some of them. He has the greater economy, now going for a counterattack as well. They're going for the production, the pylon. And Trigger, he can't quite keep up, not with this. Prism's still alive. Depowers all the gateways. And three Stalkers remaining in the main. Juggling in, what you see is what you get. 5 Immortals, everything else is depowered. And Trigger's just been pulled apart. He's just been picked apart at this point. He has nothing to reinforce. He has no gateways, he has no robo. He has nothing, no production. And now he's down to 2 Immortals. GG gets caught. herO, he weathers the storm with 7 shield batteries. And herO will take the series at 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Impressive stuff there. As herO, he will take the series, will advance on. Again, Trigger, he was kind of forced to react. He was forced into the all-in. He was getting some nice pickoffs here and there. Unfortunately, he wasn't quite able to really deal with the production fast enough. Likewise, he wasn't able to really do any economic damage either. We saw that as time went on, herO, he was becoming more and more secure. You can see how difficult it is to all-in on a map like El Dorado. There's a reason why herO felt safe enough to go to go Nexus first. The reason for this is because of the ramp coming into the natural. This is not a feature on maps like Whispers of Gold, for example, or ley lines. Like, there's no ramp, and that ramp is actually a pretty big deciding factor when it comes to how defensive you can be, because of the choke point, because of the point of elevation, because of the high ground advantage, the concave that you have as well. Like, there's just so much that comes into that one ramp, that one feature, and hey, it worked out well. Worked out well there for herO. And of course, the 7 shield batteries, they played their part as well. Don't get me wrong. The control from herO kiting back, and GG well played. herO, he will claim the series, and Trigger, he is going to be knocked out of the tournament. Going to be knocked out of the KSL.